If you're constantly chasing someone, trying to prove your worth, explaining yourself just to be understood, you've already lost. Not because you're weak, but because you're playing a game specifically designed to keep you chasing. And here's what nobody tells you. The person who designed that game, they're still winning, right now, while you're watching this. Over 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius understood this better than most people ever will. He ruled the most powerful empire on earth, faced betrayal, war, loss, and still, every single day, he trained one thing: his mind. Not his army, not his empire, his mind. Because he knew something most people never figure out. Every battle outside you was first won or lost right here, inside. What you're about to hear isn't theory, it's psychological armor. 7 laws that take your power back. But I need to warn you, Law 6 is the one most people aren't ready for. Most people hear it and still can't do it. Let's see if you're different. Pay attention. Law 1. Never explain yourself. The moment you start explaining yourself to someone who has already judged you, you've already handed them control. Let me say that again. Explanations don't change their mind. They just show them. Their opinion affects you. And the moment someone feels that, they gain leverage. Here's the part nobody talks about. Every time you over-explain, you're not defending yourself. You're actually revealing your insecurities, line by line, word by word. And the people who want to control you, they are listening for exactly that. Look at people you genuinely respect. They don't over-explain. They don't justify every move. They move in silence, with clarity. Because real confidence doesn't argue, it acts. Try this once. Say less than you normally would, and watch how uncomfortable people get when they can't figure out your next move. That discomfort you see on their face, that is the sound of your power registering. Law 2. Never react. The moment you react, you lose. Because now something external is controlling something internal. And some people are waiting for exactly that. They don't need power over you, they just need your triggers. Because a reaction is a map. It shows them what hurts you, what you fear, what you need. And once they see it, they will return to that exact spot, every single time, until you understand what's actually happening. Here's what's dangerous about this. The most skilled manipulators don't provoke you loudly. They do it quietly. A small comment, a subtle dismissal, a silence that lasts slightly too long. They poke the wound softly, just enough to watch you flinch. So next time, pause. Just 3 seconds. Feel the urge to react, and don't. That pause is not weakness. That pause is the most powerful thing you can do in that moment. Weak people react. Powerful people choose. Law 3. Your attention is currency. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Where it goes, your life follows. Think about that for a second. Not everyone deserves access to you. Some people add energy, others quietly drain it. And you already know who they are. You don't need a list. You feel it, that slight drop in energy when their name appears on your phone. That's not random. That's your awareness trying to protect you. And here's what makes this law uncomfortable. Most of the time, the people draining you are not your enemies. They're people you care about, people you feel guilty pulling away from. And that guilt, that's exactly what keeps the drain going. You don't need drama. You don't need a confrontation. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your energy. Just quietly, reduce access. Respond a little slower, become slightly less available. Watch how fast people recalibrate when they realize your attention isn't guaranteed. Law 4. Never beg for loyalty. This one hurts, because almost everyone watching this has done it. You text, they ignore. You text again. You tell yourself it's love. But here's the truth. At that point, you're not asking for love anymore. You're negotiating your own self-respect. And self-respect is the one thing you should never put on the table. Listen carefully. The moment you beg someone to stay, you've already lost them. not because they left, but because of who you became in the asking. Loyalty isn't forced. It's revealed over time through consistency, through character, through showing up when it costs something. It is not triggered by desperation. It never has been. Here's what most people learn too late. People don't stay because you chase them harder. They stay because of your standards. Because you carry yourself in a way that makes leaving feel like a loss for them. The second you start proving your worth, you lower it. And once self-respect drops, everything else follows. Walk away with your dignity intact, every time, without exception, even when it's the hardest thing you've ever done. Law 5. Observe more than you speak. The person who speaks the least often controls the most. And this is not a coincidence. Most people talk too much. Not because they have too much to say, but because silence makes them uncomfortable. And so they fill it with opinions, with reactions, with oversharing. And every single word reveals something, an insecurity, a desire, a weakness. But here's what almost nobody realizes. The person sitting quietly across from you is not disengaged. They are collecting. Every word you offer them in discomfort is information they didn't have to ask for. Silence does something else too. It creates pressure. And under that pressure, people reveal things they never planned to. Things they would have kept hidden if you had just kept talking. So next time, say one less thing than you want to. Ask one more question than feels natural. And then stay quiet long enough to be slightly uncomfortable. You'll start seeing things you were never supposed to notice. And knowing things nobody chose to tell you. Law 6. Never chase what walked away. This is where most people break. And I told you at the start, this is the law most people hear but still can't follow. Here's why. When something leaves, every instinct you have says chase, fix it, prove your worth, say the right thing, make them understand. And that instinct feels like love. It feels like strength. It feels like fighting for something real. But here is what it actually communicates, to them and to everyone watching. I am not enough without this. And once people see that, once that belief becomes visible, it permanently changes how they perceive your value. Not just in that relationship, in every room you walk into. Here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. People don't come back because you chased them. They come back because you didn't. Because you absorbed the loss with dignity. Because you chose yourself when it was the hardest possible moment to do it. Because you moved forward when everything in you was screaming to look back. What leaves you reveals its nature in the leaving, and how you respond to that leaving reveals yours. Choose carefully, because everyone is watching, including the person who left. Law 7. Master your inner world. This is the final level, and it is the one that makes every other law possible. If you can't control your mind, someone else will. That is not a metaphor. That is the operating reality of every social dynamic you are part of right now. Every trigger you haven't addressed. Every reaction you can't control. Every need for validation you haven't examined. It all becomes a handle. And the people around you, consciously or not, will grab it. Here is what Marcus understood that took him decades to master. The external world is not something that happens to you. It is a mirror of what is happening inside you. If you are easily shaken, you will be controlled. If you need approval, you will be manipulated. If you react to everything, you will belong to anyone who knows your triggers. But when you do the inner work, when you build genuine stability, not because life is going right, but because you know who you are regardless of whether it is, you become something most people have never encountered. Unmanipulatable, unshakable, untouchable. Not because nothing affects you, but because you decided, in advance, deliberately, permanently, who you are. And no person, no rejection, no loss, no silence, has the power to renegotiate that decision. Marcus Aurelius is gone. His empire is gone. The legions, the power, the throne, all dust. But these 7 laws survived. Not because someone preserved them, because they are true. And truth doesn't need protection. It just needs one person in each generation who is ready to hear it. Most people will watch this and go back to chasing. back to explaining, back to reacting, back to begging for things that were never really theirs to begin with. A few will understand and never go back. Decide which one you are. Which of these laws hit you the hardest? Drop the number in the comments. And if you're serious about building this kind of mindset, subscribe, because this is only the beginning, and most people won't make it past law 1.